everyone, this is Selena and welcome to another card making video. In this video, I'm featuring the new August 2022 My Monthly Hero Kit from Hero Arts. So let's get started. Let's take a closer look at what comes in the kit. So before we do that, here's another card that I had on my blog a couple days ago. So they're coordinating dies to cut out the elements, the skyline, and also the cacti. There's little 3x4 stamp set with the sentiment, and also they're layering stencils. They're 4 stencils to do that nice scene, like nice desert scene. Also, there are little ink cubes and other little things in the kit that I don't have with me right now. So I'll have a picture of what comes in the description, what comes in the kit on my blog post. The link will be below in the video description. So let's get started. Also, the stencils are numbered so you know which stencil comes first. So there are A, B, C, and D. So I'm starting with the first one. I'm using 5.5 by 8.5 piece of Deluxe Smooth Cardstock from Hero Arts. You can use any white cardstock that you have on hand, but I found this cardstock worked great for ink blending. So also I just wanted to have some extra space. I'll be trimming down this piece of paper later, cardstock. You can also use A2 panel to do your scene. So I just mask off the bottom, and I'm using pitch black ink to add some color. So I'm just ink blending that pretty quickly here. I have sped up the video so you don't watch me ink blending for 20 minutes or maybe more. So I have nice black. I wanted to do like a night sky, night scene. So that's why I decided to go with black and grays for the landscape. Next, I'm using charcoal. So I'm starting first with the pitch black and then adding charcoal to create nice transition between the two colors. So on the below where I have the black, I didn't mask it because it doesn't really matter. It's black. Whatever you put on top, it won't be visible. So okay, let's move on the third portion. And I'm doing the Granite ink. So on the bottom, I'm again starting with charcoal. And then I'm doing the Granite to create that ombre and transitioning look between the colors. Okay, so we're done with the first stencil. I'll put it aside and wash it quickly. If you're working with dark colors like black, you will notice that that ink doesn't really come off, but if you wipe it with alcohol wipe or swab, it will come out right away. So just masked off the top where the clouds are. And we're cutting this out too, so even if you didn't mask, it would not really matter. So I'm using pitch black for the middle portion, and the charcoal for the top. And then I'm adding now the cacti. This is the stencil C, and I will use the pitch black ink for those. I secured my stencil on top, lined it up and secure with repositionable tape. And we have that done. I'm drying it quickly because next I will go with Unicorn Craft ink. So I didn't want to kind of smear it and become gray. I really want it to be that white ink to stand out a little bit more. So again, I'm positioning that stencil. This is the D stencil. And then I didn't want to pick up the ink directly from my ink pad in case I have some black on the brush. So I just scribbled, kind of smooshed some on my mat and picked it up with the brush. So you can see there the brush, it's a little bit grayish, so I didn't want that color to transfer to my bright white ink pad. Next, I'm using the coordinating skyline die to cut that out, and you will see that it doesn't cut all the way down. It just cuts the top. And then we'll just cut it with trimmer, cut the rest with paper trimmer. I'm drying that white ink before I run it through my die cutting machine, so I don't smear it or left any impression on my cutting plates. Okay, so I'm going to trim here the ends with my scissors, and then I will use my paper trimmer to trim the rest. So I have those straight lines. I'm lining it up with the cutting edge there and trimming it off. And then we'll trim it a little bit more in just a little bit. So I'll also trim the bottom, so everything that I have ink, it won't be visible. Where I dabbed my ink blending brush. So here I have a 2-piece of white Deluxe smooth cardstock, and we'll do some ink blending using some reactive inks. So I'm using with Purple Galaxy. I'm starting on the top. I'm creating kind of sunset look. So I decided that I wanted to go with a little bit darker, so I'm using Nautical dye ink here for the top, and then I'm continuing with the reactive inks. So I'm doing Purple Galaxy. Next I'm going with Berry Smoothie. Kind of blending those colors in between. Then I'm using Taffy. And I'm going back and forth with the brushes to create a nice transition. As last but not the least, I'm using Creamsicle. So I think that looks pretty good. I'll add a little bit more orange on the bottom. Okay, so now we're gonna create the sky, and here it's I splattered some white pigment ink, white iridescent, and little dots with white gel pen. Unfortunately, the video did not record, so it cut off there, so you're not seeing the process, but it's very easy. Just splatter with a brush and you're done. And for the brighter white dots or stars, I just use white gel pen. Now I trim the background to 4 by 5.25, and I'm also trimming the mountains, the desert scene, to be 4 inches wide, so it fits nicely onto that background. I cut another piece of that desert scene, to make it a little bit more sturdy when I add it to my background, because I will use some foam tape, or you can stack a few of those pieces of scrap cardstock on the back to create dimension. I'm gonna add also some liquid adhesive on the more intricate spots, so I make sure that it stays nice and flat glued to the background, the backing that's right there. Okay, I lined it up, and next what I'll do is I'll trim the excess. I'm just using my large scissors to trim that off. So this gives a little bit more stability and sturdiness to that scene. I'm also adding a piece of heavyweight white cardstock on the back of the ink blended background for exactly the same reason. Okay, so we have a sentiment there. I decided to use the Adventure Awaits, and I will stamp it on pitch black cardstock using the Embossing and Watermark ink, the clear embossing and watermark ink, and I will use white embossing powder to emboss it. So I'm just stamping a few times to make sure that I have nice coverage with that ink and that the embossing powder sticks nicely. I have there the bin with embossing powder, and I'm just heat setting it here. Okay, I think that looks good. Next we'll just trim it to a strip. I'm using my just my regular paper trimmer, and I will cut it to strip the width of the sentiment. I noticed there I had a little bit white ink from when I was cutting my background, so I'm Here I removed that guard and I wiped it clean, so I don't have any white ink that transfers onto the black cardstock. Okay, we're going to trim it a little bit more here. I think that strip looks nice. I'll trim off the ends. Okay, to add some dimension, I'm using scrap piece of cardstock strips, and I'll add a few of them to make it more sturdy and more kind of to add a little bit more dimension. Okay, I think that's good. So now we're ready to assemble our card. Okay, I will add foam tape on the back of the scene, the desert scene. I'm making sure that I have nice coverage, and because we added that extra piece of heavyweight cardstock on the back, it's more stable and more sturdy. And then I'm adding one there, one more on the edge there, and on top. Let's remove the back ink and add it to our background. And you'll notice I didn't ink blend entire panel. I just did the top because, as you can see here, the bottom will be covered. I'm adding some liquid adhesive, the Hero Arts Precision Glue on the back. So this will give me a little bit more wiggle room to move that and make sure that it's nice and straight, adhered straight. And also makes it kind of stick much better, and that glue not coming apart. So I'm trying to decide where I want that sentiment. I decided that I'll still go with the top right corner. I'm adding it there using liquid glue, making sure that it's nice and straight. I'm eyeballing it. Usually I do use steel ruler, but I think that looks pretty good. So to finish off the card, I have a Dove White top folding note card. I'm adding some foam tape on the back. Again, the panel is sturdier because we have that extra piece of heavyweight cardstock on the back. To provide a little bit thickness and a little bit more sturdiness, I'll remove the backing, and we're gonna be done with this card in just a second. Again, I'm adding liquid glue, adding it to the note card, and we are done. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching this video, and check the description for the link to my blog post and also all the supplies that I've used to make this card. Thanks for watching. Bye.